So, welcome, family. Welcome. Today, I'm breaking down we're not just going to think about just the cognitive dissonance, but I am going to, let me start by explaining that word first. Let's look at that word. And then we're going to take it step by step, and we're going to look at something that we're going to pinpoint something that is missing. And not only missing, but a lot of people in our group feel like doesn't doesn't really need to be addressed. So something that is not there, and then some people feel don't need to be addressed. And we're going to look at one person in particular who I call a little bit of confusion that has been put in the Boulet's uh, minds about their own people. Okay. And how we can see that happen on a daily basis. And it's all been in the name of Jesus Christ and Lord and God. So let's get into it. Okay. Let's get into it. Let me hmm, let me try to share my thing here. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna get out of here and use my thing for what I need to use it for.
Remembered or
Oh,
didn't happen in its facts.
Oh, what happened?
Manatee County.
I'm sorry, family. I'm so sorry. Hold on. Okay. Let me go back to my history. Let me share Larry Elder. I'm going to start from the beginning with him. Even though he hit on some things he was saying. Okay. Let me get back over and share the screen. Welcome, G-Man. I love that icon. Okay. Just to get into the minds of some of the ones who are declaring that we don't deserve this. The Black people are problems. Our own people, from our own people, from our own. And I just wanted to go over what he was saying a little bit. Okay, I need to make this big, and then I need to plan.
They are a crime, anti-Asian violence and racism, as well as racial preferences and critical race theory. Obviously, what we're trying to do in this campaign is that we want to talk to all Californians of all stripes, and there are some issues that affect some communities in our state more than others. In the coming weeks, we will be reaching out to more communities, talking about even more issues that affect different groups. But this press conference here is obviously open to all members of the media. We have today here with us Betty Chu, who is one of our ardent supporters. We're very proud to have her support. Let me just give you guys the rundown of what's going to happen. Betty is going to introduce Larry. Larry will then offer his remarks on the topics that we're focusing on today. We will then have a Q&A session with members of the media. And for those of you who wish to ask a question later, I will let you guys know when that time is, and you can raise your hand on Zoom, or just type in the chat function that you're interested in.
And in Los Angeles, and in San Diego, for a number of reasons, most notably, I believe the false allegation that the police are engaging in systemic racism. The allegation pushed by people like Black Lives Matter and many people on the left argue that the police are using deadly force against Black people just because they're Black. And the studies have shown for decades that is not true. There's a very long article in the Washington Post. You will note during this conversation, I often try and use left-wing sources so that people on the left can't say I'm full of it. But there was a long article in the Washington Post, April 27, 2016, research going back over decades showing the police more hesitant, more reluctant to pull the trigger against Black suspects than white suspects. However, if you're a cop, particularly if you're a white cop, why run the risk of being falsely accused of systemic racism? As a result, the police are engaging in what is now called passive policing as opposed to proactive policing. It's called the Ferguson effect or the George Floyd effect, where the police pull back and just answer radio calls. They don't get out of the car and investigate suspicious activity, because much of police work is discretionary. And so you have the discretion to sit in your car and just answer radio calls if you want. And this is what is happening all throughout the country. Rahm Emanuel, the former mayor, without a father, is 5 times more likely to be poor and commit crime, 9 times more likely to drop out of school. Again, 20 times more likely to end up in jail. I repeat that because this is social programs which would not be necessary if over the last several decades, the nuclear intact family had not been destroyed. I've argued that in 1965, when Lyndon Johnson launched the so-called war on poverty, 25% of Black kids were entered the world without a father married to the mother. Now that number is close to 70%. And Barack Obama once said, a kid raised without a father is 5 times more likely to be poor and commit crime, 9 times more likely to drop out of school.
My thing is this, I'm glad he hit on that point and many other points about the Black community, the quote unquote Black communities, because I don't like that. I don't think that describes us. But the thing about it is these things have systematically been going on to us in many various ways. And I heard Clinton talk about the glass ceiling, and I heard her talk about so many traps are set. So many traps are set. And that tells me that, do we really have a chance? Do we really stand a chance? The question is, do we really stand a chance having another race of people rule over us? And the whole thing for that is they have influenced us badly. They haven't influenced us in great ways. They have influenced us in the most horrific ways. And through these influences, they then look back at us and they mock us and they say that, it's because you're not with Jesus, or you're not with God, or you're not, and then our people repeat that same thing. You're not with Jesus, you're not with God, you're not in the church, you're not this, you're not that. You get labeled. They put labels on you after they have influenced a group of people to live in a state of poverty. And because the whole thing in this society is, if you don't take on wanting to be a white identified, or want to marry white, or strive to be more white in this society, and take on their mind and their way of thinking of life, then you're not going to succeed, or you're not going to be able to. They're just going to influence you badly. Leave all the bad influences where they can affect your life, where those things can affect your life. So if you're not doing what this society deems they want you to do, basically it's like a form of control. It's like a form of control. So Black people have no choice of the matter. And I say, since the Caucasian race has so much influence over our people, and they are not by any means supposed to reign over us as a people, or have this amount of control they have over us. The fact that they have this control and reign over us is testament to the whole discrimination, the whole it's just testament that it's never ended. Slavery never ended. The trying to destroy us has never ended. None of it's never ended. It's still ongoing. And like I said the fact that people see true atrocities that goes against what is being told to them. So we see these atrocities, and we also experience many of these atrocities. They try to not be hands-on in these atrocities, but they will have people that look like you and me commit these atrocities, and they would team up with them to commit these atrocities against us, which is just as bad. It's just as bad. But then some of our people don't see it, and they like, oh no, it's not white people. Because you don't see the white people doing it, you see somebody that looks like you and me. But we know the hands that rocked our cradles. We know the hands that rocked our cradles. We know this. I'm really not feeling his energy at all. I don't want to really do his whole video, but I know I'm going to utilize some of it for my points. The point that what he just said, let me play it again. Let me play what he just said again.
And 20 times more likely to basically, they're more likely to reoffend. What could possibly? And so you have the discretion to sit in your car and just answer radio calls if you want. And this is what is happening all throughout the country. Rahm Emanuel, the former mayor of Chicago, of Gavin Newsom's teachers union, and as I mentioned, if you're a cop, particularly if you're a white cop, in the world without a father married to the mother. Okay. Just recently in Oakland, former Senator Barbara Boxer was mugged. Her cell phone was taken, and just days earlier, the Oakland Police Department chief complain about money being diverted from his police department being spent for other programs. Excuse me. And in Los Angeles, about 150, excuse me.
Whatever he's
And in Los
drinking is not
Angeles,
working.
about
I can
over
see
the last several decades, the nuclear intact family had not been destroyed. I've argued that in 1965, when Lyndon Johnson launched the so-called war on poverty, 25% of Black kids were entered the world without a father married to the mother. Now that number is close to 70%. And Barack Obama once said, a kid raised without a father is 5 times more likely to be poor and commit crime, 9 times more likely to drop out of school, and 20 times more likely to end up in prison. There is a connection between the welfare state and the growing number of children who enter America without fathers. Now 25% of white kids are now.
Well, if you're seeing that, well, it's going to happen to all the races. It's going to happen to all the races because they did it to us. They did it to us. And they created their own curse upon their own people. They did it to us, and no one should be done in this manner. I don't care. But a lot of our people want to blame the fathers and the mothers. In some cases, the children get blamed for being from a one-parent home. As Nubian people, as you know, it's not our fault that this system has created. What do they not get? What do they not get? They stripped a people of their culture. They stripped a people of who they are. They stripped us of knowing how to be parents. They've stripped us of that generational wealth. And with that wealth, I don't mean their dumb money. By wealth, I don't mean their gold or whatever, you know. I'm talking about the real wealth. That family connection, that culture wealth. That's what they stripped us of. The knowledge, the most important thing, the knowledge is our wealth. That knowledge is our wealth. Not only of self, but of our true way of existing. They wiped out our tongue. They wiped out who we are. And it pisses me off so much that white people want to come to me and say it's not about color. Well, you haven't been stripped of nothing. None of you. Chinese, Japanese, Siamese, Mexicans. Nothing. You haven't been stripped of nothing. So how can you stand there and tell me that it's not about color when my whole culture has been wiped from me? My whole self-knowledge has been stripped from me. And let me tell you, my people were substituted and given Jesus Christ the Lord. And what has he done for them? Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. Absolutely zero, nothing. Nothing. They may say they've been washed in the blood of the Lamb and they've been redeemed and they've been this and they've been that, but that's a fantasy. That's in a fantasy world. When you have to come into this real reality of things, somebody hasn't been held accountable. Some people have not been held accountable and they want to say, oh no, it's not us. It was a long time ago. No, I'm not talking about slavery today. I'm talking about me being the result of having my knowledge of self and my wealth taken away from me. And while everybody else that looked different than me and every other race that looked different than me, they don't have hair like me. So I'm alone in a room with my curly, knotted hair. And I'm speaking the queen's language without no clue to who I am. But all I know is whiteism is real. And people with straight hair of many colors, but they all identify white, have a culture, have an identity. And not only that, they have wealth. But yet I get told that they are people of color and that you want to put my people in a place with people of color when we're not in that category. We are unique people with our curly, thick, and variety texture hair. But the problem is with us, we've had our culture white, but yet people want to say, oh no, that was a long time ago. But we still suffering today for the atrocities that they committed then, and they continue on a continuous basis committing with a hidden hand, with their hidden hand, with their hidden hand. And they got people docile, and they got people in the frame of mind of blaming themselves. Well, I didn't go to college. Well, I didn't do this. Well, did you know you shouldn't have had to go to college? These people want to tell us in their system what we have to do, and that was all wrong. It's all wrong. Because they didn't have the right to tell us anything. But they use these Black leaders, Black so-called leaders that were supposed to represent us, that don't represent us one bit. Zero. That's the boule. Talking this nonsense that this Larry guy is speaking. He tried to say that we were committing the crimes against the Asians.
People hit me on my shoulder.
Come on, Sean. But as soon as they murder us, they ushered them out of the country. They ushered them out of the country. So there is no pattern of the crimes that they committed against us, of those crimes that they have continuously, on a continuous basis, committed against us. See, everybody else is mixed. This is a black and white thing. The white man sent in his mixed children always first to conquer our lands, because we are very accepting people. We're very accepting people. So it is systematic how they want to tear us down as a people, what's left of us. It is very systematic. And many want to say that it isn't, but it is. So they're teaching you about Jesus all along. They got plans for your children. For your children. So these churches ain't doing us diddly squits. These churches are doing us any good in our communities. No good at all. I don't give a damn. No good. No good for the people. Because if it was doing some good, they would have took the liquor stores off the corner. But half the preachers want the liquor stores because that's where they got to get their liquor too. So meanwhile, they taking our children, putting them in homes, bisexual, homosexual homes with pedophiles and other mentally ill people, racists. But who gave them the right to come to a Black person's house? You see, this is what the result of not dealing with them in the beginning, after slavery. See, this has been going on too long. This has been going on way too long. This is the result of us not dealing with them, nipping it in the butt after Wall Street and all our communities across the United States were knocked out. But yet I still hear them say, I wasn't alive then. I wasn't alive then. That's not our fault. But you're alive now, and it's still happening. You're alive now, and we're the result of the destruction. And we're needing our just due. We need our just due because we're here now, and we're the result. And we're here with you, and we see that you benefited. Every last one of them. I don't care if it's foreigners, they all benefit. They all benefit. Because these wars are nonsense. These wars are nonsense. It's about control. It's about control. And they tell us that all the time. The United States is the most intelligent, smartest country, and they can beat ass. But not without the Black man and Black woman. So-called Black man and Black woman. Our men and women give the power in their military force. It's not the amount of money. It's not the amount of artillery. The amount of artillery is because of the so-called Black man and Black woman in Africa, on the continent of Africa. They wouldn't have all that without them. But yet, the African people are poor because we're Black, because we're Nubians, of course. That's why everybody across the board in the diaspora has to be poor, because we're Nubians, because we're Negroids. We're actually the ones who are supposed to reign over this planet. And if we reign over this planet, it wouldn't be in filth, as filthy as it is. But that's the thing. That's the secret. That's what they want to do. They want to keep us, they got to keep us, keep their foot on us. But the day is coming. The day is coming when all of that is going to change. But I don't just hold my people accountable, because right now, many are so in love with Caucasian people because it was made like that. They were made to be like that. So they worship the ground that they walk on so they can be a white man, many of our men. Or a white woman, many of our women. But I've seen a choir today, a black choir, Nubian choir, that was singing for a white church on TV. We're not even eating right, but we want to talk about the Lord and Jesus. Where is Jesus and the Lord to guide our people in the right way of eating? Where is that at? We're not eating right at all. Zero. I seen more big women, and it was majority women, and the man was leading. But he seemed like he was full of soybeans. But our women aren't supposed to look like that. But we've accepted it. And it's frustrating how much we accept things and we say it's okay. We let these people disgrace us. They're okay with it big time. And they've made it like it's our normal way of being. It's not our normal way of being. It's not our normal way of being. And I have a problem with people normalizing our destruction, the way they've destroyed us, the way they've taken our land. We eat more meats in our diets than we do our vegetables. And we're supposed to be vegetable heavy. But you know why? Because we don't have land. We live in a concrete jungle. And they've normalized that. We want houses when we should have more land and a whole different way of thinking, a whole different way of living. We're out of our environment big time. And it's frustrating. It's very, very frustrating. The fact that they would use excuses programmed in them through fairy tales to explain the why. What I mean by that is this religion, when we make mistakes like me, I'm going to brag about myself a little bit, because I think we all should have been here. But because of this society, and it wiped away who we are, why we are, and what we are, a lot of us couldn't make it to be that way. to being wholesome the way we need to be. And I'm not wholesome the way I need to be, because my people are not wholesome the way they need to be. And if, we just can't get it there. We just can't get it there until something is done. And we have the power to do that. We have the power to do that. And unfortunately, a lot of our people not thinking on that level. But maybe if we push it more, yeah, we should celebrate not having HIV. We should celebrate not having any STDs. We should celebrate waiting to get married. We should celebrate only never having an abortion. We should celebrate never having given our children up for adoption. We should celebrate these things. We should celebrate waiting until you're married before you have sex. We should celebrate not being gay or lesbian. We should celebrate all of these things in our culture, because our culture is we're celebrative when we are doing the righteous things, when we're doing the things that are building our communities up. We celebrate that. We shouldn't be celebrating one man having baby mamas all over the place. We shouldn't be celebrating our children having sex at early ages. We shouldn't be celebrating people with HIV. We shouldn't be celebrating people with STDs. We shouldn't be celebrating those things, but we should be looking at those things and saying, we have a deep problem. There's a war raged against our people. How did we get here? And why have we allowed that in our door? How did we allow that? Oh, I forgot. We were thinking about Jesus and the Lord. And we thought that they were going to do the job for us. But it turns out they didn't show up. But there's people still knocking down our fortress. So what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Are we going to continue allowing them to, I'm going to celebrate also never having miscarriages, never having any problems in birth, having 2 live births, never having any issues. Those things are important in our culture, because that means you're trying to eat well. You got a good support group. You're striving in this time of a high stress place, but you're trying to keep the stress level down. You're struggling to do all these things. And these people are still on the side saying we didn't do anything. That wasn't us. That was a long time ago. But today, there's still things, the same thing, because why don't we have Black hospitals? Why don't we have Black businesses? See, that's an atrocity today. The fact that we don't have those things is an atrocity today. So I'm looking at the things I see today, and I'm saying, America, you owe us America, you owe us now, because you have no business placing yourself over us, reigning over us. You have no business taking our children out of the home. You have no business birthing our children. You have no business calling yourself a doctor over us. You have no business, because it's basically not good medicine for us. You have no business. You have no business. We should be having our own businesses. So you have no business making us work under you, because the way the systematic system has gone, you have allowed us to be put into these schools, educational centers, and we have been made to be the working class. So slavery all over again. So that's another wrong. It's already the prison pipeline to prison. That is wrong. The way you do our young men, the way you do our young women, Hollywood holds a big responsibility. Hollywood holds a big, huge responsibility for the atrocities against our people. These white music executives hold a big responsibility. Because they're taking advantage of our people. So it's not just about slavery days. It's about today. It's about the here and the now. So there's no, you can't blame the people anymore. It's not our community's fault. That it's our fault to a point of we haven't gotten out, but the whole point is we keep getting destroyed, and there's traps to prevent us a lot of times from moving on to our own. There's always a tearing down. And as prisoners of war, we really don't have the control. We don't really have the control. They would never ask the question of why would white people continue to victimize us under the system they created. Many of our people would never even think of that, because their mind frame is so different. Their mind frame is so different, where it's been normalized to be dealing with them like this. So many times they don't even see it, evidently, because he here is saying that it's no police brutality, that he just let come out of his own mouth that white men get brutalized more than the black man, and that police fear the incidents. So they stay in their car and listen to the radio. And so it's this denial that these things are continuously happening on a continuous basis to us. And if it's not, then you can't say it's not, because if it's not, then what the hell are they waiting for? Because they know they have a wrong to right. They know they have a wrong to right. So what the hell are they waiting for about righting that wrong? Because it's never stopped. You said in 1960s, you know why the men weren't in the home? Because men were having a hard time. By the 50s, we done took all our wealth out of communities. So the wealth was no longer there. So the men had to go back into slavery. And then they couldn't get jobs because it was controlled, because they were jealous anyway because of our skills. So back then, all the men had to do was gather up each other together and create their own jobs for the Black community. But without the money, without the knowledge, without all of that stuff, it's hard. It gets harder because the further you are away from the early days when the people built Wall Street. But you got to realize the mentality, they wanted to be like this white man, many of them, or like this white woman. So it's a hard pressure that was put on our men to conform. Disenfranchises those deemed to be less than their whiteness. Okay, so they created a system to disenfranchise those deemed to be less than who they were. And the point that they created that system has greatly affected the people. The sad part about it is how many of our people accept it. They accept it in the name of Jesus Christ every day. If you're not doing the things that the white man deems out of his mind to be the correct way of life, then, you know, it's your fault that you fall into drugs. It's your fault. But we're not like them. So where do we go? How do we don't have the things that we need. This world, our world has been destroyed. So the more that I roar, the more power is building, because their destruction is coming, but it's going to come from somewhere else, because it's here, really. It's already here. It's already here. Instead of holding the society that allowed for the opportunities to arise. Okay. Meaning when our people are on drugs, it's something they did to themselves. Okay. Instead of us holding the society that allowed for the opportunities to rise. See, we didn't push back and say, but they did admit that the government played a big part in that, because the government was bringing, they had the capabilities to bring that over. There weren't too many wealthy of us that can do that. Hold on, family. Hold on, family. Okay, I'm back. So the individual is left on his own accord, right? You know, I'm sitting up here thinking, that will be done, that will be done. It will be done. The individual must hold his own, regardless of the reality of being in a targeted group. Regardless whether we're in a targeted group. Hold on.
Get the ball.
I'm back. Hold on. Let me start this again. Let me play this again.
Now born without a father married to the mother. That was 25% of blacks in 1965. It was single digits for whites back in 1965. So there's been an explosion of white children entering the world without a father married to the mother. Nearly 50% of all Hispanic kids enter the world without a father married to the mother. And now 40% of all kids in America enter the world without a father married to the mother. There's a direct relationship between that and crime. And Barack Obama once.
It's a direct, it's a direct relationship between that and crime. The greatest crime of all, the crime of stealing the people's culture, stealing the people's identity that never been rectified. The greatest crime of all. And then you have the nerve to repeat the same thing over and over again, but yet you want to say, oh no, it wasn't my aunts, it wasn't me. I didn't live back then. My ancestors are from somewhere else. Oh, but little do you know. But little do you know. It is you. It is you. And unfortunately, that fact that it is you and your whiteness is not my saying or belief. It's what it's who created the construct. It's who created the construct that benefits you as a Caucasian Neanderthal. What caused you? Whatever. Okay. So in reality, we are in a targeted group. And many of our people don't even know we're targeted. They don't know why we're targeted. It's like the lack of knowledge all over the place. So we get these different experiences. Some in their minds, they learn to live in denial, or they learn to live or create this world where they don't have to face the truth. They don't have to face the truth of where they're at. What life has really dealt them and why. I have an aunt that thinks that she's been cursed. That's the way she believes. When the very people she loves is responsible for her situation, which is Caucasian people. She may think that they're better than her in some matter of shape or form. But until we can identify what our true problem is in our life, we can't rectify it. We can't deal with them. We can't, those people can't move on. Like Larry. He doesn't see Asians or white or any other race as his problem, but Black people are. Somehow. And I once said before, they are blind towards the self-loathing. And that multi-culturalism is just a way of covering up the serious crime and issue that needs to be dealt with, that needs to be brought to the surface and needs to be faced. And many people in our group have lost the need for self-preservation because they are in the midst of the control of the dominant society that has elevated themselves above our people and now utilize us as prey. And their success has been met without resistance. The Boule and many others have allowed this thing to continue without even raising an eyebrow or saying that it's wrong or stopping it or even attempting to stop it and attempting to gain tangibles for our people. They just don't. And they just haven't. It's been a selfish move for people who allied with the white people. Our people ally with them, the others. They don't ally with their own. They don't want to be with their own. They don't want to help their own. They say we don't need anything. Everything's been taken away from us, but yet we don't need anything. And we say it in the English. They say this in English, and they don't say it in their own language. And they don't care about having their own language. They don't even care. I had an aunt tell me, one of my aunts told her, my mom built this. Talking about she built the city, right? And my other aunt was like, that's foreign to her for her to say that. Her mom built this. To identify that her mom was responsible in assisting in building this because she was a child of enslaved people. But some people just don't see that truth. And that's a big huge issue for us. To see that there's some people in our own our own group that's around us on a daily basis that do not, they want to quick to blame the black person for having their children taken and slow to blame the system. I hear many times our people blaming us for the conditions we're in. I don't see how. You got to be out of your mind. And they are out of their minds because they don't see that something's reigning over us. It's not a black man, I can tell you that, unless they got one hiding somewhere up high, somewhere in some closet, pulling the strings. But I highly doubt that. I highly doubt that. I know it ain't nothing but this no good devil pulling these strings. Afghanistan. Don't you know? I thought they pulled out of Afghanistan years ago, but they just left a few over there. So now, why do you think they did that? Because they needed it. They needed to use that eventually. It's not working. It's not working for me. And it's not working for a lot of us. We shouldn't pay attention to it. We shouldn't have our eyes over there because it's too much going on for that right now. It's too much going on for that right now. All this stuff is too much going on for some of this stuff. But the most important thing is defense. Knowing what has been put out in the air to us on a daily basis. the atrocities, they have never paid the debt that is due. They never paid that debt that is due, but yet they say we owe them debts. The nerve. The nerve. Everything should be free for us. Everything. And we should not have, we should be a well secured group of people, a well protected group of people, because they don't know the fury that lurks spiritually awaiting them. They don't know it. But it's coming. It's coming. Because we see, like I said, they've been successful for getting our people to be naturally acceptable to the way of life, of having people who should never have reign over us, because it's influencing us into this red room. You know how many people are, we all in this red room trying to strive for our purple. Trying to strive for our purple. But spiritually, it doesn't want us to be out. It wants to lock us. It wants to lock us in the red. But we're striving to keep our energy high, to blow the top off the roof off this mother, to make it to the mothership with nothing but purple lights. No more rainbow. We're finished with the rainbow. We want the purple. We want our royalty. That's what we want. So, thank you, family, for being here. I want to thank you, G-Man. Please believe me, it's a new one. Thank you so much for being here. Please believe me, and welcome to my channel. Strong Armstrong, Unsunken One, Pirate, Mr. Pirate Brain. Thank you. And Nish made it over. Thank you, Nish. So with that said, family, thank you guys for being here. I think I hit on everything, because our people, not all is going to be in a place where they can defend themselves or gain the knowledge of who they are and rise above this place, get out of the red, because they think they're supposed to live in the red. Like, we're eating all this red meat and we're not even thinking about the vegetables, all the luscious vegetables we're supposed to be intaking, not really cooked, but the fresh vegetables. Like I said, in that choir, majority of the women were big. And it was majority women. And one soybean, yeah. And, you know, we are supposed to be better, way better than that. Because I'm telling you, it's a war on us in all facets of our parts of our life. Our eating, our taking care of ourselves, medical, all of it. How we're training our children. It affects all of that. So the person I hold accountable is this white man and white woman. I hold them highly accountable to it all. So with that said, family, true love, real peace, the higher self within the soul. Until next time, peace and love.